What if I told you there's a market worth more than $600 trillion stocks, bonds, real estate, gold, essentially the entire wealth of the planet, and right now, less than 0.1% of it has moved on-chain. Not 10%, not 1%, less than 0.1%, around $40 billion out of $600 trillion. Do that math and you'll understand why the smartest people in this industry keep saying real-world asset tokenization is the biggest narrative of this entire cycle, and why they are not exaggerating when they say it's still early. Quick disclosure before we go further, this video is sponsored by the project we're covering today. As always, nothing here is financial advice. My job is to show you what I found, and your job is to do your own research. Deal? Let's go. So the term you keep seeing on crypto Twitter is RWA, real-world assets. The idea is simple. Take things that exist in the physical world, global stocks, real estate, gold and commodities, bonds, and represent them as tokens on a blockchain so they can be traded, settled, and used globally, 24/7. The idea is not new. So why is the market still basically empty? One word: trust. Here's how most RWA tokens get issued today. A project deploys a smart contract, claims it represents some real-world asset, and asks you to take their word for it. No licensed custodian. No enforceable legal claim behind the token. No regulator anywhere near it. And this industry has learned, painfully, what happens when anonymous teams launch tokens, pump them, and vanish. That trust gap, not the technology, is what's been holding back $600 trillion. Which brings me to the project I went down the rabbit hole on, Blockmaze. Blockmaze is positioning itself as the largest regulated ecosystem for tokenized assets. And before you roll your eyes, every project claims something. Here's the detail that made me stop scrolling. This isn't a white paper promise. Blockmaze is sitting on 40-plus regulatory licenses and registrations across 10 jurisdictions, enough that it holds a Guinness World Record for it. Let that land for a second. A crypto project holding a world record for regulatory compliance. Bahrain, Greece, Cyprus, Canada, Australia, South Africa, the UAE, Mauritius, Comoros. Each license unlocks something specific: payment processing and card rails in Bahrain, e-money and investment firm licensing in Cyprus, money services and payment capability in Canada, brokerage operations in South Africa, custody and virtual asset services in Comoros. That is not a project hoping to get regulated eventually. That's a project laying the regulatory groundwork before going to market, which is the exact opposite of how this industry usually operates. And the design choice that matters most to anyone who's ever been burned in crypto, on Blockmaze. There is no open-door token launching. Only verified issuers can bring an asset on-chain. Every issuer has to clear identity verification, demonstrate legal authorization, and bond economic commitments before deploying anything. The whole model is built to make pump and dumps and rug pulls structurally difficult because the anonymous issuer simply doesn't exist on this chain. On top of that, every asset-backed token is meant to undergo ongoing third-party audits with scheduled proof of reserves deadlines. Miss one, and the issuer's standing visibly changes on-chain, in public. Now here's the part most people will miss, and honestly it's the most sophisticated piece of the design. Blockmaze doesn't use one generic token format for everything. It runs two separate on-chain standards depending on the legal reality of the asset. BMZ20 is for bearer-redeemable assets, think gold or commodities, where simply holding the token gives you redemption rights. BMZ3643 is for registry-dependent assets, like real estate, where ownership has to stay aligned with an external legal registry, not just the blockchain. Two different legal realities, two different standards. Most RWA projects never even think about that distinction. If you're learning something here, tap the like button real quick and drop a comment telling me whether you think RWA is the real narrative of this cycle or just noise. Let's talk about the BMZ token itself, and I'll be upfront, it has not launched yet. So there's no price or market cap to show you. What is public is the full tokenomics blueprint. Total supply is 10 billion BMZ across 16 allocation categories. A few things jumped out at me. Founders get 20% total, and 19 of those 20 points are locked for 12 months and vest over 8 years. 8. That's an unusually long leash for a founder allocation. Stakers and validators get the single largest slice at 20%, paid as ongoing security emissions, and there's a standalone 4% circuit breaker reserve held specifically for emergencies. Emissions are activity-linked tied to real network usage rather than a fixed drip, and on the demand side, issuers have to bond BMZ just to get verified. So token demand is wired directly to network participation, not just speculation, and the team is not hiding behind a logo. Tejinder Virk, co-founder and CEO, is also the co-founder and CEO of Finvasia Group, a financial conglomerate operating since 2009, whose track record is the actual credential here. In 2016, they launched Shunya, India's first commission-free trading ecosystem, which removed brokerage fees entirely and became one of the country's leading investment platforms. In 2022, they brought in Zulu Trade, opening expert-led investing to everyday users, and in 2025 came Jump, India's first conversational AI-powered fintech super app. That's a group that has repeatedly built regulated financial infrastructure at scale. Puneet Mangal, co-founder and CEO, spent his career in physical commodities metals, steel, global trade, which is exactly the background you want in a business about tokenizing physical assets. And Sarvjit Virk, strategic advisor, co-founded Finvasia alongside his brother and advises on the technology architecture. A regulated finance operator, a physical commodities operator, and a technical infrastructure builder. That maps almost perfectly onto what RWA actually requires. Here's my honest take. In a narrative this early, the projects worth watching are rarely the loudest ones. They're the ones solving the unglamorous, structural problem nobody else wants to touch, and right now, trust and regulation is that problem. If you want this on your radar before it's all over your timeline, here's the only move you need to make. Click the link in the description or in the pinned comment right now. That's it. One click takes you straight to the official Blockmaze pages, and from there, you'll be getting updates directly from the source instead of secondhand. This is a $600 trillion market with less than 0.1% on chain. However it plays out, be the person who is paying attention early, not the one reading the headlines 6 months from now. None of this is financial advice. Always do your own research before touching any project, especially one whose token hasn't launched. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.